Imagine being told that you have no talent, no creativity, and no future. Most people would give up. But one young man refused to believe those words. Years later, he built the world's most magical entertainment empire. His name was Walt Disney. This is the incredible true story of how an ordinary boy became a global legend. Long before Disneyland, before Mickey Mouse, before millions of smiling children, Walt Disney was just a poor farm boy. His family struggled to earn enough money, and every day was filled with hard work instead of comfort. Even as a child, Walt saw the world differently. While others noticed ordinary animals, he imagined them talking, laughing, and living magical adventures. His imagination became his greatest gift. But dreams alone were never enough. The road ahead would bring rejection, failure, bankruptcy, and heartbreak. Yet every setback pushed Walt one step closer to. Walt Disney was born on December 5, 1901, in Chicago, Illinois. When he was still a young boy, his family moved to a farm in Marceline, Missouri. Life on the farm was far from easy. Every morning began before sunrise, and every family member had responsibilities. While other children spent their free time playing games, Walt often helped feed animals, carry water, and complete chores around the farm. Money was always limited, and every dollar mattered. But even during those difficult days, Walt noticed something different. He loved watching birds, rabbits, horses, and other animals. Instead of seeing ordinary creatures, he imagined them smiling, talking, and having adventures together. Whenever he found a piece of paper and a pencil, he would sit quietly and draw everything he saw. Drawing wasn't just a hobby. It became his escape from the hardships of everyday life. His neighbors quickly noticed his unusual talent. Some even paid him a few cents to draw simple pictures of their horses or family pets. Without realizing it, Walt had already earned his very first money through his artwork. That small success gave him confidence. It proved that his imagination had value. Although he was still just a poor farm boy, a dream was beginning to grow inside him. A dream that one day would entertain millions around the world. When Walt grew older, life became even more difficult. His family moved to Kansas City, where his father found work delivering newspapers. Every morning, Walt woke up around 3:30 a.m. to help deliver hundreds of newspapers before school. It didn't matter if the weather was freezing, raining, or covered with snow. Walt still had to finish his route. Many mornings, he felt exhausted before his classes even began. His father was very strict and expected hard work every single day. There was little time for rest or fun. But every challenge made Walt stronger. At night, when his work was finally done, he picked up his pencil and continued drawing. Deep inside, he believed that one day his art would change his life forever. As Walt grew into a young man, the world was changing. World War I had begun, and thousands of young Americans were joining the war. Walt wanted to serve his country, but there was one problem. He was too young to enlist. Refusing to give up, he altered his birth date and joined the Red Cross as an ambulance driver. Instead of carrying a weapon, he drove wounded soldiers and delivered medical supplies across war-torn France. Even during the war, Walt never stopped drawing. He covered his ambulance with funny cartoons that made tired soldiers smile. In the middle of fear and destruction, his imagination continued to shine. Without realizing it, Walt was discovering something powerful. His drawings could bring hope to people, even in the darkest times. After returning from France, Walt was more determined than ever. He found a job at a small art studio in Kansas City, where he learned the basics of commercial illustration and animation. Every evening, after work, he spent hours experimenting with cameras, drawings, and short animated films. He believed animation could become something the world had never seen before. In 1922, Walt opened his first company, Laugh-O-Gram Studio. He and his small team worked day and night, creating creative cartoons filled with humor and imagination. But there was one serious problem. The studio had brilliant ideas, yet very little money. The dream had collapsed. Laugh-O-Gram Studio went bankrupt, and Walt Disney lost almost everything he had worked for. Many people believed his career was already over. With only a small suitcase, a few drawings, and about $40 in his pocket, Walt boarded a train to Hollywood. He had no successful business, no famous name, and no guarantee of a better future. But he carried something far more valuable than money, an unshakable belief in his imagination. Walt promised himself that he would start again, no matter how many times he failed. That train ride to California would become the beginning of one of the greatest success stories in American history. Hollywood was nothing like Walt had imagined. Success did not come overnight. He lived simply, worked long hours, and built a tiny animation studio with his brother, Roy Disney. Together, they created short animated films and searched for anyone willing to believe in their dream. Every project was a struggle, but Walt refused to quit. Then, opportunity finally arrived. Walt created a cheerful cartoon character named Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. The character quickly became popular, and for the first time, it seemed that success had finally found him. But just when everything looked perfect, Walt received news that would change his life forever. The letter brought devastating news. Walt Disney had lost the rights to Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Even worse, most of his animators had accepted offers to leave him. Years of hard work disappeared in a single moment. On the train ride back to California, Walt sat quietly, staring out the window. He refused to let failure define his future. Then, a new idea appeared. He remembered a small mouse he had once seen in his old studio. Slowly, he began sketching a cheerful little character with round ears and a friendly smile. That tiny sketch would soon become Mickey Mouse, the character who changed Walt Disney's life and the future of animation forever. In 1928, Mickey Mouse made his official debut in the animated film Steamboat Willie. Unlike anything audiences had seen before, the cartoon featured perfectly synchronized sound with animation. The audience was amazed. Mickey Mouse became an instant sensation, and Walt Disney's name spread across America. Newspapers praised the innovation, and theaters were filled with excited viewers. For the first time, Walt's years of struggle finally paid off. The young man who had once gone bankrupt was now leading a revolution in animation. It was only the beginning. Bigger dreams, larger studios, and unforgettable characters were still waiting to be created. Walt Disney never stopped dreaming. In 1955, he opened Disneyland, a place where children and adults could experience imagination together. Many people believed the project would fail, but once again, Walt proved them wrong. His company continued creating unforgettable films and characters that inspired generations around the world. From one small sketch to a global entertainment empire, his journey became a symbol of courage, creativity, and persistence. Walt Disney passed away in 1966, but his dream never died. Today, millions of people visit Disney parks, watch Disney movies, and remember the man who refused to give up. His story teaches us one simple lesson. Success doesn't belong to those who never fail. It belongs to those who keep moving forward, no matter how difficult the road becomes.